Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Lee. So free agency is kind of at the point now where things are starting to settle down just a little bit. A bunch of the big names have already been taken off the table. Sure, there are still a few pretty good players here and there, but for the most part, all that's left are restricted free agents and role players. So I thought that right now was pretty much as good of a time as ever to make a video about the biggest winners and the biggest losers of the 2017 free agency offseason period thing. Now I might have to make another one in the future because I still do think there are a couple of trades that will go down. They could shake things up in the NBA a bit, but for right now, I think we have a good enough grasp on the situation to make a pretty solid list. Quick disclaimer, the NBA draft is not part of this. This might surprise a few people, but anytime you head into the summer as the best team on the face of the planet and you manage to retain all of your key players, especially when those players consist of two former MVPs and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, and then a finals MVP and sixth man of the year candidate in Andre Iguodala, you're automatically winning. But on top of that, they managed to somehow get even better by bringing in Omri Caspi and none other than the legend Swaggy P himself. People thought that the Warriors would struggle to keep both Livingston and Iguodala in free agency this year. But like I said, they managed to keep both those guys and added even more. And regardless of if you hate the Warriors or not, they had a good offseason. Simple facts are simple. You can't not pick up Paul George for pennies on the dollar and not be considered a winner in free agency. Russell Westbrook got some help. I was about to say finally there, but then I realized it wasn't too long ago that he had Kevin Durant. I mean, it's only been a season, but still it feels like it's been forever. Every time I watched this man play last year, I felt tired. The man had to go out there and do everything on the court, and it kind of made me feel bad for him. I was like, get this man some help. And now he got some great help in Paul George. So that's automatically a W. And then another low-key great free agent signing they just made yesterday was getting Patrick Patterson. The Thunder really need more guys like him, aka guys that can shoot. Gordon Hayward saved the Boston Celtics from being on the wrong side of this list. And that's not saying that the Celtics wouldn't have still been in a good position if Gordon Hayward decided to stay with Utah or go to Miami, but it's just the fact that they would have lost out on Paul George, Jimmy Butler, and Gordon Hayward. They literally would have struck out on all the players they were hoping to get. But like I said, even without any of those guys, they still wouldn't have been in bad shape at all. And I'm just gonna come out and say something that's been on my mind about the Boston Celtics for a long time that I never said. I kind of feel like no matter what they do, they're winning. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is the roster they have right now, the roster they have been winning with these past two seasons, it's kind of a fluke. When they traded away Rondo and got the package in return for him, including Crowder, he wasn't supposed to be the player he is right now. When they traded for Isaiah Thomas from Phoenix, he wasn't supposed to be the player he is right now. The Celtics were in rebuilding mode when all those deals went down, and they just happened to become a good team. And that's what put them in the position where they are now, where they're like a good team that's rebuilding at the same time. So that's why they're always kind of gonna be winners. And then the fact that they landed one of the best free agents available this summer in Gordon Hayward just adds to the winningness. I feel like I've talked about this team a lot this summer already. We already know how I feel about them. Is there any explanation needed for why they're on this list? Didn't think so. Let's move on. Lastly, this is the one where I feel people are gonna be kinda split on. I know a bunch of people are questioning whether or not Chris Paul can actually coexist with James Harden on the same team because they're both playmakers that need the ball in their hands. But I'm just gonna say this, I will not punish the Houston Rockets for going out and taking a risk. Coming into the summer, their GM Daryl Morey made it 100% clear that that's what they were going to do this summer in order to compete with the Warriors. And when you have someone like James Harden on your team, you kind of owe it to him to try and compete with him while he's in his prime like James Harden is right now. You can't just sit back because the Warriors are so dominant and waste away a talent like James Harden. You got to take risks and try and win, and that's what the Rockets are doing. So that's why I have them on this list, because I have respect for them since they were willing to go out there and take a risk. And like, once again, they got one of the best players that were available this summer, so that's going to be a W. But now let's take a look at the losers. I'm sorry, I feel terrible for putting the Jazz on this list because unlike most of the losers, this really isn't their fault. But you know, when you lose a player like Gordon Hayward, you're losing. And not to mention that they traded away a first-round pick to get Ricky Rubio. And the only reason they got him is because Gordon Hayward said he wanted to play with him. That's another loss. And I really feel bad for the Utah Jazz organization and its fan, because being a fan of the Pistons, another small market team, I can only imagine what it would feel like to see a player like Gordon Hayward just walk away from your team. However, if there is any light at the end of the tunnel, it's that the Celtics and the Jazz are kind of discussing a sign and trade possibility for Gordon Hayward, so at least the Jazz might get something in return. The Pelicans needed to upgrade their roster this summer. They still have Anthony Davis, Jrue Holiday, and DeMarcus Cousins, but other than that, once again, take another look at this Pelicans roster and tell me when you see someone that you should be excited about. Tell me when you see someone that will be a starter on any other NBA team. Tell me when you see someone who will be a backup on any other NBA team. This is a bunch of third string players plus Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, and Jrue Holiday. Re-signing Jrue Holiday was the only thing the Pelicans did right this summer. Other than that, they managed to somehow get worse when they traded away Tim Frazier for the 52nd pick in the draft. Those were the only two moves they made. And like I said, this was a summer which they needed to make moves, and that was kind of too late to make moves, so they gotta be on this list. Still love AD though. They're like the low-key biggest losers of this summer. Not even biggest losers, but it's just, it is what it is at this point for the Memphis Grizzlies. Then again, every year they're stuck paying Chandler Parsons top dollar to sit on the bench. They'll be considered losers. But on top of giving Chandler Parsons top dollar, they just lost out on one of their biggest contributors in Zach Randolph. And they're also about to lose out on who was one of their best shooters last year in the 40-year-old Vince Carter. The fact that Vince Carter, who is 40 years old, nothing but respect to you, my man, was one of the best shooters on your team at 40 years old in the NBA is kind of worrisome. And overall, the Grizzlies for the longest time have just been one of those good teams. They'll always make the playoffs, but that's about it. And now with the rest of the West getting better and the Grizzlies getting worse, it might just be time to bite the bullet and try to start the rebuild. And this is also why you hear now some rumors coming up with the Celtics and Marc Gasol, because the Grizzlies are also facing the facts that it just might be time to go into a complete rebuild. They're pretty much in the same boat as the Memphis Grizzlies, a low-key, big-time loser. It's not because they traded away Dwight Howard for basically nothing. That wasn't actually a bad move on Atlanta's part, but it's the fact that they let Paul Millsap walk away for nothing that really confuses me. Normally when a team has an expiring contract, especially when it's a player like Paul Millsap, and that team has no intentions of bringing him back after his contract is up, they try and move him to a contending team, to a playoff team that could use his services so they can get something in return instead of just letting him walk away. And Paul Millsap had been on the trade block for a long time last year before they decided to pull him off and said they were looking to re-sign him, as well as him coming out and saying that he wants to remain in Atlanta before of course he signed with the Denver Nuggets. And what's crazy about it is that Paul Millsap never even got a call from the Atlanta Hawks about a contract. So I'm just confused as to why they would just willingly let him walk away instead of trading him away for something during the regular season when they had the chance to. Why are the Cavs on this list? They haven't done anything this summer. That's exactly why. They haven't done anything this summer. Look, don't get me wrong. They're still, of course, one of the best teams in the NBA. There's no question about that. And they're also still the favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference this year, barring any other crazy moves. But it's just you heard them in talks for Jimmy Butler and Paul George. They missed out on both. On top of that, they lost their GM, are having a hard time finding another one, and can't get any commitment from LeBron James that he's willing to stay after next year. That kind of puts them on the losing side of things. Since if the season were to start tomorrow, like I said, they'd still be the favorites to come out the East, but I don't think anyone would pick them to win over the Golden State Warriors, especially since, like I said, the Warriors managed to somehow get even better this summer. But that's it. Those are the 5 teams that I have winning and the 5 teams that I have losing. so far this summer. And I know people probably think the Pacers and the Bulls deserve to be on this list, but let's be honest here, they didn't lose out that bad. Sure, they had to trade away their star players, but those were moves that kind of had to be done, and the fact that they got something instead of nothing for those players is always better than not getting anything at all. Also, honorable mentions for the winners would be the Nets and the Kings. They've actually had low-key pretty good summer so far. But that's going to lead us to the question of the day. Who is your biggest winner and your biggest loser so far in free agency? Let me know down in the comment section below. But now let's take a look at what you guys said in yesterday's video. And yesterday, after Gordon Hayward agreed to a contract with the Boston Celtics, I asked you guys what the Celtics need to do now in order to become legit title contenders, and here is what you said. I'm a Pistons fan, and I would love for Andre to be traded for either Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, or next year's Nets pick. Any of those will be better than what we have now. Plus, we could start rebuilding and get out of barely missing the playoffs and get a lottery pick instead. As rumors already tell, Celtics might go for Marc Gasol, which would suit them well, I think. Also, I don't think and hope the Pelicans will give away Davis, because he will become the next superstar of the NBA. Maybe it's possible for the Celtics to go for Cousins though. Marc Gasol, he's a do-it-all center, fits the Celtics style of ball, gives them a banger down low and rim protection and rebounds, and spreads the floor. Imagine IT and Gasol pick and roll. When I made that video yesterday, I hadn't yet seen the rumors of Marc Gasol because they came out while I was making that video. And to be honest, I just kind of completely overlooked him as a player the Celtics would go after. He would be a perfect fit. He's a veteran guy that rebounds, defends, can shoot, can pass, can score the ball in many different ways. What else could you possibly want if you're the Boston Celtics? And like I said in this video, it might be time for the Grizzlies to bite the bullet and rebuild, so this could be a match made in heaven between these two teams. Like I said though, don't forget to leave your answer for today's question of the day down in the comment section below. But other than that, thank you once again for watching the video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more daily NBA videos. And until tomorrow, keep getting them buckets, Team SGC, and I'm out of here.